Yeah, Tip already posted it. But thanks. All right, so I wanted to go into how to trade harmonics in ranges. Yeah, I'll wait a bit longer. But I think it's gonna be smart to at least update the market first because well, we're getting a pretty aggressive dump on BTC. So we're gonna wait a bit longer for people to join in, and then I'm gonna start with a quick market update. All right. Well, while we wait, how is everyone doing on the dump? Are we still fine? Long's okay? Short sprinting? No. But yeah, I thought you'd be short. No, Tip is short as well. Oh, you were taking a break. You said that. Yeah, congrats, by the way. That's really cool to be able to do something like that. Huge respect for that. Yeah, Binance blocked you, okay. Wait, you're not allowed to withdraw anymore because you made too much. No, that's funny as fuck, actually. All right, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go ahead and start. I think we've waited long enough. All right, so just to start, before I actually start on the thing I wanted to talk about and like the harmonic class I wanted to talk about, this is a good example of what I wanted to talk about. This market. So we had BTC in this range here. We had a range low and a range high. It got tapped here for liquidity, but sent it back down. We basically played the range exactly how a range should be played, right? We tapped range lows. We sent it during the CPI news. We even went past mid range and went all the way to the 618 of the range, and then dropped back down. And what we're seeing now is that we had so low liquidity and people are not willing to bid here that price got pushed down to take all of the liquidity that's built up over on these zones, right? Well, that one already got taken. Over on this one, and over on this area over here. So what we want to see here um, is we want to see this range reclaimed at least before daily close, because this was like I think 66k. I don't know if it marked out on this chart. Is mid range for like our entire range as well. So we need to see that reclaimed before daily close, so we can confirm the SFP of mid range, and then after that potentially target these range highs again, or at least range mid. If we close below it, we will likely see lower, in my opinion, and we will likely be looking at I think at least this area. Because this is like, there's a golden pocket here and a daily order block. So I think if we close below mid-range on the daily, we will see at least the 618. But the other thing I wanted to talk about, and this is exactly what I wanted to teach today, is how you can use harmonics in a range like this. Because one of the things I really like using harmonics for is for either range deviations or something like overextensions in general. So, for example, when Ton was pushing all-time high yesterday, it went a little over, and it was a decent short to catch because you will always see it in advance with this. So, a few days ago, I posted a long like this, and I said it's not a signal. This was the long I had, right? There was an entry here in the middle of this range low. I always draw it as a zone. We had a butterfly here, the butterfly, and we had a bat over here. That's a bat 886. So if I pull it up here, you'll see this is the 886 of this bat. This is still allowed. It's a perp chart, so I'm taking it a bit higher, but like 0.93 is about the maximum. It's like 5% ish. So that's exactly what I wanted to talk about. If you deviate below a range like this, harmonics from before the range or from inside the range with extensions can really help you on setting areas where you think it will bounce. So I posted this long. I said it's not a signal because I didn't say why, but I'll explain it now. Because we already tapped it here. We tapped the range lows here, and we went pretty far into range lows to the point where the liquidity we had over here came so close to the wick over here that if we were to touch this again, we would likely touch this and this as well and cascade down, which is why I said this is not a long signal. So, what's it called? I'll put it back here because I'm actually in this long. But why am I mentioning this? Because multiple harmonics showed up on the same spot. So we had a butterfly here, which we bounced off the first time, almost exactly on the 1.27. And the second time we bounced off of this bat over here, which is right now, and we seem to be rejecting here. 50-minute candle's not looking good, but we at least seem to be getting a reaction here. And bouncing up a little. I'm actually gonna... yeah. So we seem to be reacting to the bat, and I'm looking for this to at least reclaim range mid, as I've said. I also updated the BTC dominance chart. I said it a few times. I think alts are very close to outperforming BTC. Because as you can see on the RSI here, we now have 1, 2, 3, 4. This was fourth drive of bearish divergences on BTC dominance. And even though BTC is dropping really hard, BTC dominance isn't increasing as much as it usually does on dumps like these. So, for example, with the last hard dump, that was this candle, right? It pumped really hard, and alts got completely destroyed on that dump. The same with like the war news, which was here, I think. BTC dominance pumped really hard, and alts got completely destroyed. Well, this time, this is not that big of a pump, right? So, my thesis for alts is still that alts are very close to outperforming BTC. But we're like this cycle, we have this thing where we have a ton of alts, like a lot of them. So I do think we are gonna leave some of them behind. So the alts I'm looking at to outperform BTC are things like LDO or ENS or essentially ETH betas and some other strong coins, like Ondo, for example. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about, and I think it's best to talk about that on Inch, is how to use harmonics in ranges. So what you'll notice on Inch, if we're gonna go to an empty chart, is that this range on Injective, where we've been in for quite some time now, this range is relatively unclear by regular standards, right? So let's say we try to draw our range highs. I'll draw it on the closest here. Kind of only have like one touch over here, right? If I draw it a bit lower, so over here, we already started with a deviation, and we kind of have it over here where we're deviating. This is kind of just getting disrespected. And the same with range lows, right? Range lows are a bit better because you have several touches here. But in general, yeah, the stream's recorded. In general, this looks like a pretty unclear range. Like the price action doesn't support it. And what I've been trading these ranges with, because I've traded a lot of Injective, is that usually when you see a range like this, what's actually happening is the actual harmonics and fibs are forming support resistance levels, and they keep front running the regular SR levels, right? So for example, this top over here, this was almost a perfect 886 off of the top over here. So if you would draw this fib, you can see this is the 886. It bounced almost exactly off of that, which then ended up front running what you could call the range high. And the same happened on different spots, right? So what's it called? So let's say you call this your range low, or I think there was a monthly open over there as well. These harmonics front ran that exact range low, and this bat ended up forming on the deviation. This is also why you would hear a lot of people just calling Injective a shitcoin, right? Because it simply doesn't follow regular ranges, and sometimes that happens. So that's also why the moment Injective actually broke out of this range, it almost immediately dropped back down. Because it tapped above the range over here, it tapped above the range over here, and it kind of immediately dropped back down. Because what ended up happening is all of these fibs here, they formed the support resistance level, and we couldn't accept above it. So even though, let's say you would draw your range high over here, we were getting close to retesting this level and accepting above, we weren't actually retesting the things that were holding us back inside of this range in the first place. We got one retest, one close above, and immediately drop back down. So what we needed to see on Injective is for us to start flipping these fibs that got formed over here into support. And then we could see higher. A good example of this, and I'll go over this again a bit slower after this, right? A good example of this is ENA. This is a bit of a slower example of what Injective should have done, but inverted obviously, because ENA broke to the downside and should have broken to the upside. We had a really nice bullish bat here on ENA. A really good 0.5, really good 886. This is in range, this is in range, right? Really good bullish bat. So you would, if you wanted to play this long, you would play it like this. I'm not counting this liquidity grab, by the way, because these are forced sells. You would be able to play this long. Now, if you would, and I did this, I tried to play this long, what you can see happening is that even though we reacted here, we immediately broke below. We broke below, we came back, and we retested this exact D point. So this bat 886 I marked over here, we bearish retested this. We didn't accept above. We immediately started dropping again. So on the candle close, I took this short. This is what Injective should have done. And this is something not a lot of people know about harmonics, is because harmonics are essentially support resistance levels, so this would be your support resistance level. You can short a bullish harmonic, or you can long a bearish harmonic if you actually flip this back to support. Oh, hello, Caleb. Good to see you. And this is what I was looking for on Injective, because I wanted to long it after the breakout, didn't get the acceptance, so I just let it go. This is something that is very useful in ranges. This is how I play range breakouts. I personally don't really use the regular SR levels. So let's say I draw them as zones, so let's say something like this. This would be about your support of this smaller upper range. I play the harmonics, and if the bullish harmonics that are close to support are flipped back to resistance, this is when I short. Now, what can we do with that? So let's go back to BTC, right? If we go on a lower time frame, we still have this butterfly that we bounced off of the first time, right? This black line here, the butterfly 127. This is what we bounced off the first time and got a leg all the way up to the 618 of the range, right? My invalidation for this long, apart from stop loss, obviously, is going to be purely based on that. I will close this long. I didn't call it, by the way, because I already have 2 longs open, and I don't want to call too many longs to like give people like a reason to overtrade. So I will keep my calls to like 2 longs minimum, maximum. So what I'm going to be looking for here, once BTC starts dropping back into this range or starts dropping below again, is if we start seeing price action like this, we tap this level, and then after this level, we start closing below it, I will simply flip this long into a short. Because the moment we start closing below this level, this butterfly is getting flipped to resistance, and I don't see a reason for us to reclaim it. And I will do the same thing, and I do this with most longs. I will do the same thing if we start dropping below and come back. If we come back and we start closing below this level or close to it, I will close the long. And playing it this way will potentially cut your losses to like, what is it, like only, it should only be like 0.3 R, 0.2 R, somewhere along those lines. So something like this can greatly help you reduce your wins or losses. So that was one thing I wanted to talk about. The other thing I wanted to talk about is marking things like these in advance. So let's say, okay, actually, should I do it on Eve? I think I'll do it on Eve. Yep, let's do it on Eve here. So we have the Eve chart here, right? Eve is dropping. What we can do, because we dropped out of this range, we had like this little, I actually could call this the range, because we dropped out of this, we can start marking the deviations in advance. If I try to draw an harmonic, let's see, this XB is way too high. Close this. Let's see if we can get a good bounce. Yeah, so we have a 3A2 XB and a slightly tilted AC for the shark. So this would end up in a shark. We can start marking the levels we can play in advance. So this would be one of the levels, right? This would be shark 8x6. And we can do that with essentially every harmonic and fib level. So if I would, let's take this one actually. If I would take a fib pool here, start marking the 618. I know there's a 5 over here as well. At the 0.5, which we are at right now actually. We can mark these levels in advance so that if we actually drop out of this range, we now have 3 levels already charted out in advance of which we can look for a bounce. So on these levels, what I would do is I would not actually obviously like set limits for this, because as you can see, ETH is simply in a free fall, right? You don't long this. There's no reason to. But what we can look for is if ETH actually like starts properly reacting to a level, and if ETH on a lower time frame, on like 50 or 30 minutes, I personally prefer the 30 minute, or the hourly, starts like kind of doing this. That's when we know, okay, it reacted to our level, we can actually start looking for a player, or we can start looking on other players here. For example, on BTC, right? If BTC is forming something like this, and you have an altcoin you want to long, you would need to wait for BTC to actually start reversing, because you don't long altcoins while BTC is simply in a free fall, right? There's no reason to. So like this, you will often see me have a ton of harmonics like marked out in advance. That's simply because of this. So that if we actually start breaking down, like ETH's doing right now, because of BTC, we have these levels already marked out on our chart where we can look for a reversal. And on important coins or levels, I will usually set alerts on these, if I'm actually looking to take a play. Okay. Are there any questions so far? No questions? All right. Oh, I'll wait for you to finish typing. Can you show again how to plot harmonics with the eyes? Yeah, sure. Let's go on. Okay, let's go on EFI. Harmonics are very hard, and I missed your first stream. What do you recommend me to do to understand it better? I have the first stream recorded, so you could watch that back. In general, master trading or like the trading courses have a really good course on fibs, but don't have a course on harmonics yet. So you can use it for fibs to get a basic understanding, because harmonics are essentially fibs. Apart from that, the best way to actually learn harmonics is through Scott Carney's books, which are all just free PDFs you can just download. So depending on how much you want to learn on it, the best way to do it is Scott Carney's books. Where can I find your recording? I think we have a channel for that now. I don't know if it's in there yet though. But I'll post it out later, or you can find it back in my channel. I posted a link to it in my channel. Okay. Alright, so how do we chart harmonics? This chart has insane wicks. What is that? I'm actually just gonna go on a different... Okay, how do we chart harmonics? So what we look for when charting harmonics is M shapes. Either M or W shapes. So every M shape like this, which tells you price will go up. or every W shape like this, which tells you price will go down. There's one other harmonic that kind of goes like this, but I won't go over that right now because that's a lot harder. So as we can see right here, on E5 we kind of have a nice M shape. This is forming a very clear M shape. So what you can do in that case is I hold control for this, by the way, to activate the magnet, so it doesn't matter where my mouse is, it will always snap to the bars. I will use this tool for essentially every harmonic. You can use this one for extensions. And I will simply go from every bottom to every top on the M shape. Like this. And I will look at the ratios. So I know the ratios out of the top of my head, but I will get them up on the screen just in case. Let's see if I can do this. Yeah, they fixed it finally. So in this case, this would be a bullish bat. You can recognize the bullish bat pretty easily by what's it called? By looking at the X to B. So this X, this is B. If this is 0.5 and your X to D is an 886, this is almost always a bat. The other ratios still need to be correct, but a 0.5 bounce will usually lead to a bat. So let's check the ratios. Is X to B either 382 or 0.5? Yes, it is. It's 0.5. Is AC in between 382 and 886? Yes, it is. Is BD in between 1618 and 2618? Yes, it is. And X to D is an 886. So this is your bullish bat. That's essentially how you chart most harmonics. You will simply look for M and W shapes, draw them on the bottoms and the tops, the same way you would draw a fib, and you will use that to see if the ratios are actually correct. And something that people often struggle with this is what bottom or top do I put the harmonic on? So let's take this X point. Do I put it on this bottom? Do I put it on this one? Or do I put it on this one? And I actually see if one of you knows it. So do I put it on bottom 1, 2, or 3? Let's see it in chat. We already know 2 is correct. So the question is more, can I put it on 1 or 3? So 1. Okay. 1 out of these. I'll wait for videos to finish typing before I spoil the answer. Two, because it's the lowest point. And we have one more person typing, so I'll wait a bit. Okay, so 2 is valid. 2 is the lowest point, this is valid. 3, also valid, because there's no lower point in between X and A. There's no lower point over here, right? And it is clearly a bottom. So for example, if I take this 3, I am not allowed to put it over here, because this is not the bottom, right? This is the bottom of this area. So it's clearly a bottom, and there's no lower point on the right. There's no lower point between X and A. 1 is not allowed for that same reason. So if we would go in between, I'll read that in a bit. If we would go in between X and A, we have we can simply draw this line, right? And I'll delete these real quick. Let's see. We can simply draw this line, and we will see that we have one point that's lower and a second point that's lower. So because we have a point that's lower than our x in between x to a, we are not allowed to put our stop loss here. I mean our what's it called, our x point here. So 2 is allowed and 3 is allowed. Why would you use harmonic rather than the fib retracement? Yeah, so why I would use harmonics over fibs is I don't really do that for one simple reason. Let's draw the fibs manually, right? So that way we can find out why harmonics work in the first place. So let's draw the first harmonic from the first fib from x to a. Then let's draw the same one from x to c, one from b to a. Let's see if it's 2. I think this is a that is a 1786. And this is a 2. That's say 2.27. So as you can see, all of these harmonics, all of these fibs, they align in almost exactly the same area. They all align over here. Essentially, the only thing that harmonics are a way for you to have a lot of fibs and visualize putting them in one spot. So drawing all of these fibs manually, which is essentially what harmonics do, and that's why these ratios matter so much. Essentially what harmonics do is just cluttering all of these fibs together to form this fib support resistance level. So essentially what harmonics do is make this a support level. So it's not that I'm using fibs over harmonics, it's that I'm using harmonics to categorize fibs. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Using harmonics is kind of like drawing all of the fibs and then finding the area where the most fibs align. Because as you can see, like I turned everything off. If I would turn all of these fibs on, it's pure chaos. So there's no way, there would be no way for you to actually realize that, hey, this is actually a really important level. So yeah, it's a way of drawing all of the fibs without all of the visual noise. Yeah. Yeah, I have a lot of different fib settings for that reason as well, right? Because some are really like really out there, while others are a bit less. So charts will get chaotic either way if you use a lot of fibs. Yeah, you can use harmonics to essentially spot support resistance levels. So what's likely to happen, this is regular harmonic price action, is now that we have touched this level, we will either reject off of this, or we will start building on top of this. And coincidentally, right, this is also a support level on the left, but this can also happen on extensions. So this can also happen, let's say we have a butterfly that goes over here on the 272, and we will most likely start building support on top of that support level that the butterfly will create, which is in this case a bat, right? We have just created this support level, and we will most likely either start building on top of this or reject off of it. That's what one fibs looks like for you. I mean, it's not that bad, right? The fibs look kind of fine, but it's like the nature of fibs. If you have a lot of fibs on your chart will look chaotic. I think I have one of these charts, right? Is it this one? Oh, I'm on the wrong layout. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's this one. So for example, these have like my the fibs of this range and the bull flag, and some log fibs if I want to see those. So I keep those on a different chart usually, because if I put it on the same chart as the chart I draw all of my range harmonics on, it will get so chaotic. Because you can imagine, here's my width chart. If I start also drawing fibs on this chart, the chart will become pure chaos. So if you wanna trade using fibs and using harmonics, I highly recommend finding a way for you to keep your charts clear. Otherwise, you won't be able to like actually use the charts, right? Like you need to be able to see what you're drawing. So this chart may look really chaotic, but essentially the only thing I'm looking at right now is this harmonic, right? This is a deep crab. So what I expect to happen now is we have touched this deep crab, we have touched the entry, and now I expect us to kind of build on top of this. Used to trade with RSI and fibs all the time. This is a new view for me. Yeah, if you like trading fibs and RSI, harmonics are like a perfect addition, because harmonics heavily use RSI to find like confirmation. A thing about harmonics is that once you touch entry, you can't always set limits for it because you need to confirm that price actually reacts to the level. If price action is really extreme, it will often blast through, just like any support resistance level, right? Like you saw that on injective. Like this price action is so strong, it's just gonna blast through. For every resistance level over here, it's just gonna go through because the price is too strong. So in the case of this harmonic, you wouldn't take it because the RSI is simply going up. Price is simply going up and RSI is simply going up. There's no reason for you to take a short there, right? And that's why, for example, on BTC dominance, I was confident in this case in longing altcoins because, or in longing altcoins over BTC and putting my head shorts on BTC because the RSI is supporting this idea of this gartley we have here, or this bat we have here. So we have this bat forming. We can see the RSI weakening in advance. So we know that once price actually reaches this level, it's very likely to react. And it's of course not always going to react right. There's no trading style that will work like 100% of the time. But by using harmonics, and in this case the RSI, you will get a situation where it's like, okay, I can make a play based on this, and I'm pretty sure that this will work. The hidden bearish shift, yeah, there's a hidden bearish divergence on the daily as well. Because RSI is higher here, right? And it's lower here. I personally don't use hidden divergences because my backtesting with them made me I don't think they work that well. Like it's always a nice added confluence, but I will not base a play off of it. So I usually don't have them marked out on my charts just to keep my charts like as clean as possible because there's usually a lot of information on there. All right. That was mostly what I wanted to talk about today because we talked a lot about how harmonics work in our last class. Are there any questions about this? I'll give it some time to answer. Right. I'll wait for more questions. We still have some time, so if there are no questions, are there any coins you want me to look at? The videos from this and previous classes available on your channel. Yes, I record all of my classes and I post them in my channel, and you will be able to find them on YouTube after. Oh, we're gonna get a channel for that as well. For all of the recordings. Do you have a lot of questions? Yeah, you can always ask the questions you have, or just tag me in chat. All of that's fine. But I do recommend, for like learning it from the start, to both watch my first video, and if you're really interested, just try and read Scott Carney's books. Those are the way I've learned it, and those are the way I recommend anyone to learn it, because the books are really helpful. All right, look at what BTC is doing first. We are still going down. Okay. Flow. Also going down. Jesus Christ. That does not look good, my man. Is there an order chart of this? He usually has order chart, right? Where next? I think that was the oldest. Is that a meme coin? Well, I don't think so. But I don't know what it does. Okay, well, I can't chart it weekly on this, so let's go on a lower time frame. Chart looks like it, yeah, kinda. Okay. So let's start with some fibs. We found support on the golden pocket, but fell down. So looking for a 786 at first. Also have a nice M shape. So let's see if this is actually anything. We only have a 428 here, which would qualify for a 382 bounce, and a 382 bounce would put us at the 886. So this is one of your possibilities. Let's see if I take this low. Okay, so we had this butterfly that we bounced off of. I'll highlight this one green. We had this butterfly that we bounced off of, and which we found support on, but we tapped TP1. There should be TP1 there, probably the 236, and we are now rejecting it. So we kind of have an SR point here. This kind of have this over here, support resistance level. What I'm looking for is, I think we at least gonna touch this 786 again, and we will go up. We will either, if we go up in the first place, we will either reject here or try and flip it. If we flip it to support, it should be good. So this is longable if you actually flip it to support. If that doesn't happen and you can reject, you can also have a daily order block here. You can try to take a short here on the candle closes. But I think your best bet here would be this bet which we've drawn out. If we start touching this area and this actually reacts, which I think it will, because we kind of have this the supply zone here, and the bet's on top of it. So I think it reacts here. If it reacts here and we confirm some kind of bounce or start building on top of it and start forming divergences, that's when you can look to potentially take a long. Yeah, enter when price is a D or wait for confirmation. What type of confirmation do you look for? This highly depends on the coin and on the level it's at. So let's say we have this coin, right? I'm gonna go on a weekly. No, that's not even an FAG. It's like, okay, so let's go with a 2 week for the as an example, right? We have an Fairvalue gap and an inverted Fairvalue gap here on the exact same spot as our D point. I usually don't use FPGs, but I will use every confluence I can get, right? Like, if the harmonic says it might first here and these confluences are there, then so be it. That's an extra confluence. I would not set a limit for this play for one simple reason. One, this chart looks horrible because like we saw at the start, right? This chart dropped like an infinite amount, and two, if we take a volume profile, this is the confluence I use the most, by the way, outside of harmonics. We can see that the point of control is like all the way down here. There is hardly any volume here. Most of it is in this area. Where the point of our highest volume over here on the red line. I will not set limits for this. So in this case, I will set an alert. Once the alert goes off, I will look for confirmation. And that can be in the form of a trend shift or in the form of bullish divergences forming on top of the reversal zone or anything like that. Basically, anything you would use in regular TA as well, like in if you draw trend lines, if you draw chart patterns, if you draw ICT, like whatever you use, I will look for other like trend shifts or anything like that to confirm my entry. So I need to see a reaction at the D point or at the potential reversal zone, and then I need to see some kind of confirmation that price will actually react and reverse to it. And one other thing, if price action is rather extreme, so which we saw on injective, if price action is rather extreme, I will most likely just not take it. I will most likely, like for example with candles like this one right here, I will probably just ignore it. Like it is what it is. I will miss the play if it reacts, but there's no point in trying to catch like either trying to catch a knife or trying to like suppress something that's going up this fast. So is the Fib harmonic symmetry important? No, it is not. So you can take a rough time estimate, especially for an ABCD. So let's say something like this. You would have your 618 here, and I would go to the 1.618. You can you kind of want these to be about the same time duration, but they don't have to be, right? It's more or less to give you an estimate, and if it's gonna take like 3, 4, 5 times as long to get there, then you can be like, okay, well now I'm gonna remove my limits and actually wait for the reaction on that zone. Like, you don't need the symmetry, but it is a nice added bonus. And I'm using the ABCD, by the way, because the ABCD is actually in most MOW shapes, there is an ABCD. So if I would draw harmonics exactly over this, you now have a deep godly. There are ABCDs in essentially every MOW shape. So that's why I'm using this example. Do we have any other coins to look at? Or any other charts? I can look at the totals as well. Total 1 is about to touch my shark area. This is like the last area I will look for a reversal on totals. Alright. It seems like there's nothing. Then I'm gonna look at what's it called? I wanted to look at one more coin myself. I wanted to point out Whip, because Dog Whip Hat is really strong on this dump. It dumped a bit, but the moment it touched this PRZ, it has been really strong. So the moment BTC starts like chilling down a bit and starts actually confirming it, I will most likely if you see if I can take this long because I'm hatched on my perp account, right? Or I'll simply leave it be because BTC is also just crashing down, right? If I were to look for a long, I would probably take this one because Whiff is very strong. So I will either do that or I will start slowly buying a bit of spot and then just add more if we drop a bit lower. Because we have some really nice, have a really nice reaction here. We have some tighter validation over here. So we can simply draw this wick, and you simply don't want it to go below this wick. That's it. So I really like this chart. This is what I wanted to point out. And this also applies to the range thing we talked about. Whiff is in a range with a very hard to see range high and low because we keep deviating it. But as you can see, every single deviation gets like stopped out by harmonics. This is a chart that doesn't follow the regular support resistance, but it's following the fib levels. So I'm expecting it to either bounce here or to bounce here. And that will most likely just depend on BTC. Because BTC is still doing this. And I think that was the last thing I wanted to talk about. Is there anything anyone else that has any questions or so wants me to look at a coin? I can look at one more and then I'm gonna call the stream probably. Can we look at Ape? Why do you want me to look at Ape? I'll look at it. Oh, it's making all-time lows, I think. I think that's all-time low, right? It's kind of actually below the listing wick. No, not yet. Okay, let's look at Ape. I charted Ape a long time ago. I remember that it was doing something on the log chart along these lines. No, okay, it's not doing that. Okay, I cannot use this first bar because this is simply like down only, right? So there might be there might actually be a crab or a butterfly here. That's USTD, right? Tip? I can only see it as small because I'm still tabbed in. Yeah. Yeah, it's forming something new, right? I saw it as well. Let's see. Yeah, there's a deep trap on there. Expected out. Okay, so yeah, we kind of have a deep trap here. Which is the 886. The what is it? 3822 886, I think. And the 1618 here. But we are coming close to the technical stop loss because Ape is a coin that has very low demand. So on deep traps, I would usually put my stop loss on. I think the technical stop loss is an XA.2 or 2.0. I use what's it called, DA113. So this would be my stop loss. But Ape is very weak right now. I'm with most of the market. This is a nice little M shape though. It's kind of sad as going down here. So that means you have to use this area. Yeah, we're kind of making another. We're making another deep crab on that listing wick. We're actually doing this. So what you could do on this is this goes below and goes back up. Wait for a daily close. And obviously this depends on BTC as well, right? If BTC closes the daily below mid-range, you should not long. Like in general, you should not be in longs if BTC closes below mid-range. But if this wicks below, reacts to this area, and then closes the daily above as an SFP, you can try to take this long. But this would be a trigger order, right? You can either take it with the white stop of that massive deep crab we have over here, or you can take, should be somewhere along these lines then. Yeah, or the 113 will be over here. So you can take something like this. And most likely, let's put it on TPs. You would most likely look at these areas for TPs with an optional one over here, which it would take since it's about like 1 hour up, right? CDF. Oh, there's a shark on that as well. Oh, that's really, really nice, actually. Yeah, so Tip pointed out that there is a shark over here as well. This one's a tiny bit higher, I think. Is there a shark on this area, or is it lower? It's lower. Yeah, you kind of have a shark over here as well. Let's see. It's a 224, right? Yeah, so you would have a shark over here between the 886. It's still 618, yeah. So starting from this area, I'm gonna draw it as a box. Here is he. To the 113 over here. And it's still 5%, could be 5% off on both, right? But in the case of a shark, I don't like that, because it will be like a very wide reversal zone. If you want to get in this coin, you could look for it over here in this PRZ. I would still wait for us to react to this direct area over here and at least close the daily below, because you don't want to close the daily at a new all-time low, because then, like, you know for sure that no one wants to buy the coin, right? If no one's gonna buy it at all-time lows, then where are they gonna buy it? It's actually at the most discounted price that it's ever been, and buyers can't push it up. That is a very bad sign. So you would have to wait for that to try anything. Okay, I will look at UCT dominance as well, since they pointed it out. We do actually have, let's see, I think it should be on this one, right? Yeah, we were actually forming this deep trap, but it kind of seems like we're just gonna either blast through it. This is obviously not an actual short, by the way. But it seems like we're either gonna blast through it, or we have to reverse really soon. Because even on an hourly, like things like the RSI and like actual price action are just straight up, right? You want this chart to go down if you want Bitcoin to go up, essentially. So we need to start reacting exactly here, and we kind of need to just SFP this high over here and close below. To at least like have a shot at reversal. which I think we'll do, right? I posted my thesis a few times about USDT dominance on BTC and on BTC dominance. I personally still think reverse. That's still my thesis, and I will completely stick to that until we hit the stop loss. It's actually this stop loss. Until we completely invalidate this bet, I will think that we are going to reclaim this. Or until, and I talked about it at the start of the stream, or until we tap this level and go back down, and I will potentially look to add to my short if we do that. Because I am still short from lower, right? There was a 5 over here, which I shorted. I didn't call it in my channel because I heavily dislike calling hedges in my channel because like 9 out of 10 times hedges just hit stop loss. Because, well, it's a hedge, right? Your bias will still be in the other direction. But, what's it called? I still have it active just for protection. And if we start tapping this level again, and we start rejecting and closing below it, I will most likely just add to my short. And we will probably SFP it if that happens. So I will wait for price to like tap above, tap back down, and I will simply place my stop loss above the wick. But I can't tell you the stop loss yet because it's going to be a wick up, and then if we close below that, the daily below, that will confirm my short. Because we are also still just in this bigger harmonic, which is trending down, right? We need to confirm an upwards bias before bias fully changes. And I think it does. Based on how the lower time frames are looking and how BTC dominance is looking, I think it reverses, but we haven't confirmed it yet. 15 minutes bearish already, yeah. The thing is with 15 minutes is that it has bearish divergences so often, like it's crazy. Like yeah, I agree, but look at this for example. This area had divergences like this entire ladder up. It was literally just climbing up through divergences because like higher highs on price action, lower highs on RSI, right? And then what did it do after that? It went up even harder. It went up even harder and then it started kind of downtrending. So 15-minute divergences honestly don't really tell me anything. If you're on this level of a time frame, I would rather use MACD. MACD is more reliable. Like if you're looking for 15-minute divergences, just use MACD divergences. If you get a MACD divergence and then a crossover, then that's where you would confirm the play. I don't use MACD that often though. I don't play on 15-minute time frames. I'm still in the mindset of that we are going to go higher until we actually confirm the loss of mid-range. So until we do that, I am still looking to set up as many swings as I can for actually going higher. And that's what I said, and that's I think that's one of the most important parts of trading. If you think something will happen and you have a solid thesis with reasoning, right? Like I have USDT dominance, these BTC harmonics, and these BTC dominance harmonics and divergences, etc., that all point to me towards BTC will go up after range lows or after this deviation, and alts will probably go up harder because of this. And that is my thesis, and I have based my plays upon that. And obviously, manage your risk properly, right? Like, I only have 2 plays active at the moment. If I'm wrong, I will lose 2R. Actually, 2.2R because I kind of DC'd Phil like very close to stop loss because it was very worth. But I will only lose like 2.2R if I'm wrong. But until I'm wrong, or until I see something that heavily disproves my thesis, I will stick to it. There's no reason to get into a play if you don't believe in it. And there's no reason to get out of a play if the reason you believed in the play is still there. So even though the chart looks like this, until we actually invalidate this harmonic, my thesis will stay the same. or until we, or if we see this bearish retest, right? If we see a bearish retest here, I will probably get out as well. And obviously, that's also why risk management is so important, right? Even if I'm wrong, because this was decently high conviction, even if I'm wrong, it's only 2.2 R. Like, that's not a big part of your left portfolio, right? 2 R should not be that much. Okay, I think that's everything I wanted to talk about today. For the people that joined in late or that asked about it, I have recorded it. I will put up the recording on my YouTube channel after the stream and ping everyone. And I'll probably look for another stream once I have a good topic. Because if I'm going to stream, I wanna talk about something, right? So if anyone has an idea, you can just tag me in chat. And if I get that question a lot, I can try to do a stream about it. Yeah, no problem. I really like streaming it. It's really fun to see how big of an interest people actually have in harmonics. So if you have any questions about it, you can just you can always ask me in chat. You can ask like for example, Tip, when you started with harmonics, like I will always answer the question. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that also. Are you a former teacher? Yes, I am. I am. What's it called? I was teaching chemistry. Like I had an internship for a year, and then I teach chemistry for a full year. And now I stopped doing that to switch studies and to be a full-time trader. So I'm just what's it called? I'm gonna study economics now, but before that I was a chemistry teacher. So that's why it takes a bit of getting used to, right? Like teaching like this instead of on a whiteboard in front of a class, and actually like seeing my students, right? But it's still really fun. I really enjoy teaching like this. For mice, I do Pepe. Okay, we can do one Pepe. I already had it done because 50 Cent like asked about Pepe for like at least like 3 or 4 times a week. So there are a lot of bets on Pepe, and I noticed something earlier as well that Pepe on a lower time frame had because Pepe. Can we just go 13 area first so I can short? I think your short, if you wanted to take it, was up here. Wait, because I saw this too late, which was really sad. There was a near perfect Guardly over here, because this is what's it called? Perfect 618, almost a perfect 786, and an 886 bottom, right? This is what we ended up rejecting off of. So you're telling me, Pepe, absolutely, we are going to zero. Okay, short. Well, if you want a short, you know, I'm not even gonna joke about it because people might actually take it serious, right? No, I think these are my rejection areas for Pepe, and where I would potentially look for like scalp longs or like a swing long if we actually somehow get to this level. I don't think we will. I don't think Pepe will reach this ever. And alternatively, I think there should be some M shapes here now. Math ain't mathing. What do you mean? Newcomb is not going to 7 area, but calling for 5. No, it's not gonna go to both. Like, we might touch this 7-7. Like, we might. But I don't think we will ever touch this all bad. I don't think we're ever gonna see this. This is a maybe. If BTC goes back for range lows, we can see it. I don't think we do, but if it does, we can see it. Yeah. But what I wanted to say is we also now have this deep trap lining up on the same spot. So if we touch this, this is probably a good area for a scalp. Something like this. This would be the technical play. Don't think we're gonna break below line 4. No, I don't think so either. I think this is probably like the best you're gonna get, because this is also your VAH, right? And the top of this previous range, which was pretty strong. So I think if you get this on Pepe, this will at least provide a good bounce. Yeah, I'm at least on that side, right? I mean, I talked about it earlier, I think before you joined. My thesis, like, I'm still on the same thesis until it's broken. I will still think we reclaim this range unless we either reject off this this line here, this butterfly line, or until we start we break below this X. And especially for alts, because, well, CZ is still holding the line up here. He's a very strong defender. Yeah, if we actually go to 5 on Pepe, I'm starting a big swing as well. Like, that would be absolutely nuts. Okay, I am